Yum, yum. It's time for a tasty and refreshing snack.
Walt Disney Pictures brings you the motion picture adventure of the summer with all new characters. Don't miss this fun-filled animated adventure from Walt Disney Pictures. The enchanting fantasy, The Black Cauldron, rated PG.
It's perfect.
The future king of all England!
In a far-off time and a magical place,
Alakazam.
there lived a young boy who was destined for great adventures.
My name's Arthur, but everyone calls me Wart.
With the help of a wizard
The name is Merlin.
Gadzooks!
and a wise old owl,
The world is round. Use your head, use your head.
he'll see life through the eyes of different creatures.
I am a fish, aren't I?
Always look before you leap.
I'm a bird, I'm a bird, I'm a bird.
Confront many dangers
Jehoshaphat.
Oh! I'm afraid I'll have to destroy you.
and learn from his masters.
I thought you were going to amount to something.
I'm nobody. You must plan for the future, boy. You've got to find a direction. Knowledge and wisdom is the real power.
This is the story of how a legend was born.
He pulled a sword from the stone. You mean he'll be king of all England?
The family classic,
Long live the king!
The Sword in the Stone. Next.
And now, on with the show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Loose Cannon. I am not Mike the Birdman, but Mike's a little bit busy at the moment, so instead, it's me and Adam A. Donaldson.
I can.
Hello. And so on this Loose Cannon, we made the decision we're going to continue our little dive into Disney of yesteryear by looking at two extremely underrated, in my opinion, Disney features. And that is 1963's The Sword in the Stone and 1985's The Black Cauldron.
Mm-hmm.
And these are widely considered part of the darker ages of Disney. But within the 60s, 70s, and 80s, after the passing of Walt, a lot of Disney's animation was going all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
So, honestly, let's start with probably the weaker one, in my opinion, and that is Sword in the Stone. 19... And I am not Dave, so bear with me, but I'm just going to read the IMDb here. The Sword in the Stone, 1963, rated G. And it is, in the synopsis, is a poor boy named Arthur learns the power of love, kindness, knowledge, and bravery with the help of a wizard called Merlin in the path to become one of the most beloved kings in English history. So it is a kind of off-brand version of the story of King Arthur, as it were.
Or very on-brand, considering
And-
the source material is the T.H. White, the saga, The Once and Future King, which
True.
is considered like the
True.
modern measurement of King Arthur stories.
And the one thing that I will say, you can very much tell some of the production troubles that this had,
Mm-hmm.
like the fact that there are 3 boys playing Arthur in this, and it's very obvious at times when they switched.
Mhm.
And I think that also results in it having this very episodic nature to it as well. Like each part of this movie can be fit into like different segments, as it were, and different stories, and it's they don't necessarily fit all together, but there's also this relative cohesive through line between them. But yeah, honestly, what did you think of this, Adam?
I hadn't watched it since I was a kid. And since, I mean, in the decades since, there's been so many different King Arthur stories. It's, on the one hand, it's interesting that it focuses on King Arthur the boy, and that, because that's something we kind of skip over to get to the more meatier stuff when he's king, and there's the Knights of the Round Table, and there's the Guinevere and Lancelot drama, and Mordred comes in. So it's funny to see this from as the beginning of the story. It essentially climaxes in with him drawing the sword from the stone, which is not Excalibur. They didn't shortcut that, unlike a lot of King Arthur stories, because traditionally King Arthur doesn't draw Excalibur from the stone. It's an entirely different sword. So that I did appreciate. It's not sure if it wants to be like an epic or like a typical Disney musical. There's like the joy of domesticity of following Arthur doing his chores. That's very Cinderella-ish and Snow White-ish as well. Don't really get into like some really hardcore fantasy stuff. There's like the whole face-off between Merlin and Madame Mim. Not enough Madame Mim for my taste in this movie. Where they have this spell off where they can transform into different things. But I don't hate it. It's certainly enjoyable. It's certainly bright, and it's certainly in keeping with Disney's, let's call it, confused tone in the immediate aftermath of Walt Disney passing.
It's very Looney Tunes coded.
It is. I think so.
Like I forgot how very Looney Tunes coded it is, and how funny a lot of the physical comedy was.
Yeah.
Like the wolf in the beginning had me cackling. I'm like, how did I forget about this? But then there's also elements of it where I'm like, oh yeah, I remember this bit. I remember this bit. I remember this dialogue, of all things. And then there's the whole bit with the squirrels. The squirrel segment. God damn it. Breaks your god dang heart.
I feel like there was... Yeah, no, I feel like there's some valuable lessons about, like, the battle of the sexes that Merlin could have leapt off of, that could have helped Arthur later in his life, but true.
For sure. If you know the King Arthur myth, you know exactly what we're talking about.
That's right. Yeah, so it's the Looney Tunes thing is interesting because the squirrel segment did actually make, but then the Madame Mim stuff too is also very funny. It's very Bugs Bunny and like Elmer Fudd. It's like, we're gonna have this spell off, and here are the rules, and she immediately breaks the rules. That seems very kind of Hollywood cartoon villain inspired, and I do love this version of Merlin who keeps talking about stuff from the 20th century and nobody knows what he's talking about, because Merlin is of course timeless. It doesn't explicitly make the point, which is another old Arthur legend, that Merlin ages backward. Doesn't quite get there, but Merlin can certainly zip around the time stream and talk about how television rots your brain and nobody knows what he's talking about.
I think a lot of the Merlin jokes were made for the adults.
I think so. Well, I think it's also made for the 60s too. With
True.
It's possible to think that there are a lot of disgruntled Disney animators who are doing this, still cranking out this like very artistic, careful, creative work in the TV era. Of course, Disney, rode with that as well. The Wonderful World of Disney. There, Disney left a mark on TV even before they owned a TV network. So,
I mean, Disney was a huge proponent of television.
Well, he sold Disneyland on television.
Exactly. And then some of the voice cast, I was like, oh right, Alan Napier's in this. I forgot about that. And he's just a superfluous, like, small role in the movie, but like you definitely know Alan Napier's voice when you hear it.
Yeah. He's famously Alfred, the Alfred from Batman 66. Yeah, the Carl Swenson too. Very distinctive voice as Merlin. You can't quite put a finger on it. It's not English, but it's not, it's not. I mean, again, that's probably in keeping with Merlin, that he's timeless. He's not precisely of this world. He's very old, but also you can't really age him because he's kind of spry and things. So yeah, I do enjoy the voice cast. The whole thing with the different Arthurs.
Yeah, it is. Credit to them. Ricky Sorensen, Robert Ritherman, and Richard Ritherman. I guess two of them are brothers or something. But like you could definitely tell, like, okay, some of these kids are all like of puberty age, and that's why they had to recast multiple times.
Yeah.
Because this movie was in production for so long.
I remember, well, that was always the thing with AI, artificial intelligence, like, which was famously a Stanley Kubrick film before a Steven Spielberg film. It's like Stanley Kubrick takes so long to shoot things, you can never get like a 11 or 12-year-old kid to stay the same long enough for an 18-month, 19-month shoot. It's kind of the same thing that happened here. Anyway. Archimedes. I was just looking at this. Archimedes is, because this is one of those things, like, why is his voice familiar? Rabbit from Winnie the Pooh.
Yes. Yeah, the original Rabbit.
Which is like, I can see the connection now when they're drawing the rabbit and characterizing the rabbit. There's the shrillness and the kind of like disagreeableness of Archimedes is kind of transplanted on Rabbit in Winnie the Pooh as well. He's not,
and some of the design work is very owl.
Yes.
I would not be surprised if the same character designer worked on Winnie the Pooh. Like if I were to dive deep into the credits, I probably could pull that.
And Winnie the Pooh wasn't that far off. I want to say Winnie the Pooh was 73.
Yes, I believe so.
So that's 10 years later. So yeah, it's interesting to sort of see all these connective tissues. It's also interesting where it's placed. The Sword and the Stone. It's placed at the end of like all the classics. So you get, Sleeping Beauty, Lady and the Tramp, Peter Pan. It comes after 101 Dalmatians, which is like the first kind of Deke, but it's still a classic, and I think that's largely because of how iconic Cruella de Vil becomes.
Winnie the Pooh is 77.
Okay, so I mean that's still not that very far off, and these things were in production for years, so there could be some crossover there. Then you get the Sword and the Stone. You get Robin Hood a couple of years after that. It's interesting. It always comes back to King Arthur and Robin Hood. When you're out of ideas, you go back to King Arthur and Robin Hood. That is again, I haven't revisited Robin Hood in a while, but that is also I remember Robin Hood also kind of being, as you say, like Looney Tunes coded. It's an adventure movie.
It is, but also it is one of the biggest furry sexual awakening films on the planet.
I get that, 100%. Yeah, it's in the middle of this period where they don't know what Disney is, so they keep trying new things, and it's interesting. It's interesting, just what happens when you lose a creative force, and just how do you fill that vacuum? Of course, there's still a lot of creativity in this, like the Sherman Brothers. Who there's a great documentary about the Sherman Brothers. I think it's on Disney Plus as well.
Yep.
And like so much of the music at Disneyland and in different movies and also TV shows.
What is widely considered the golden age of Disney was under Sherman Brothers production, in terms of music.
Yeah, absolutely.
And speaking of music, this actually won the Oscar for music.
Did it?
Yes.
Interesting.
It won for Best Musical Scoring of Music, Adaptation or Treatment from, and George Burns is the composer.
Do you know what the other nominees were that year?
Let me see.
Just curious.
Pull this up.
I don't remember anything terribly distinctive about the score. The songs kind of stick out after watching it, but the score, I don't like. I couldn't hum
okay. Yeah, no,
I couldn't
you
hum
can't
a few
really
bars
hum
from
it.
it.
But sometimes the best scores are that. But they also transport you. Let's see. And that was Irma La Dos, Bye Bye Birdie, A New Kind of Love, Sundays, and Sisibel.
Okay.
I mean, I know Bye Bye Birdie, obviously, and I've heard of A New Kind of Love, but I have not heard of the two other films.
No, neither have I. And Bye Bye Birdie is a stage adaptation.
Yes.
Which, no, maybe they changed. They must have changed the rules later on that it has to be an original score.
Well, there were two. There were two
categories. Okay.
Two categories at the time. There was original best music scoring of music for substantially original and adaptation or treatment.
Right. Okay. That makes sense because this was the golden age of musicals, or an age of musicals. So it doesn't quite exist in the same way now. Okay. Well, fair enough. Congratulations, George Burns. 63 years later. Yeah. So it's an interesting artifact. I think it's, as like a gateway drug to Arthurian legend, it's probably pretty good. I don't know if kids today might sit for it, but
I think the Looney Tunes style humor helps it stay timeless. But there are some smaller moments where you're just kind of like, I think depending on the kid, if the kid is willing to sit through some more of the boring bits, but also it's segmented enough where it's like one bit doesn't overstay its welcome. So
right,
even if one bit's a little boring, the next bit might entice some kid.
I think that's true, and I think the other thing working in its favor is, I think about Moana. My nephew is big into Moana, and Moana is like it's like a coming of age story. In that case, it's a young woman, Moana, and her companion is a magical figure. Sword in the Stone is kind of like that too. Arthur's on a journey. He has a magical companion, a couple of magical companions. I think Moana has some animal sidekicks too. I can't remember Moana off the top of my head.
Yeah. Hey, the
that's right.
Chick-
Hey. Chicken.
Voiced by Alan Tudyk. I'm not kidding. It's actually Alan.
No, I'm remembering that now because when my nephew says "hey," it clicks that he's talking about the chicken. Yeah, so there could be something to that it's of an archetype that is still used in Disney stories. Magical mentor with kid on a coming of age journey.
Yeah, I do rank this lower than Moana on my full Disney chart. It sits at 35, so it's right smack dab in the middle.
Yeah, that I believe that. Yeah.
But that leads us to the next one, which is actually significantly higher on my list overall, and that is The Black Cauldron from 1985. Rated PG, a young boy and a group of misfit friends embark on a quest to find a dark magical item of ultimate power before a diabolical tyrant can. And yeah, this is... I unabashedly love this movie, and also I am weirded out why there's a 4K transfer of this on Disney Plus. Of all the movies to have a 4K transfer, this one.
Very clearly somebody at Disney Plus or somebody in the Disney restoration or archival department. Yeah.
This was, as soon as Disney Plus came out, this was a 4K transfer, and I was like, wait, what? And
maybe they were working on it.
I mean, as far as I know, there was no, not even an exclusive for Disney Movie Club or anything for a 4K disc, which is odd. If it was a Disney Movie Club exclusive, that makes sense. But no, I could not find any information that it has that. But I mean, it's a very beautiful 4K. Even in streaming quality, it's a really nice 4K. And again, this entire movie is beautiful in general. This is also the transitional. This is one of the first movies that was still in production during the ascension of Michael Eisner and Jeffrey Katzenberg.
That's right.
So this was just before the Disney Renaissance. That started sort of in 1989 with Little Mermaid. But it's real. I just love this movie. I really do. And then when you go back to read the Lloyd Alexander books, completely different. Completely different. Because they jam-packed. They basically abridged 3 whole books into one mess of a story. Right. But at the same time, I enjoy the movie as its own entity, but I also really enjoy the Lloyd Alexander books for the same reason. And yeah, it's up there as one of my favorites. I wish there was a 4K Blu-ray of it, but there isn't, so I don't have it now at the moment.
I don't know if it's one of my favorites. I find it an interesting curio. Years ago, I was getting into Tim Burton movies, and so I was seeking out, his
connections,
his origin stories. And I had read about how he had worked at Disney, and all of his ideas for both this and The Fox and the Hound were rejected. And that set him on the course where he made Vincent. He made Frank and Weenie, and that led to Pee-wee's Big Adventure and on and on and on. And so it was released on VHS around the turn of the century at some point, so I bought it and watched it, and I was like, you know what, this is your ordinary Disney movie, I understand some of the consternation that probably went on behind the scenes, or that definitely went on behind the scenes. This is kind of one of the famous Eisner-Katzenberg fights, too, about what they should do to make this something they could sell in the marketplace. It's dark, and it's not too often Disney movies can get this dark. Maybe watching it years ago when I saw it for the first time, it reminded me of Hunchback of Notre Dame. The villain in that
Yes.
is especially evil.
I mean, Hellfire is by far one of the greatest Disney villain songs, period.
Yeah. It is like watching that in the theater in when was that, 1996, with all the kids around. This character.
Yep. Like the whole sexual angle went over my head as a kid, but like as an adult, holy crap!
I was a teenager when this came out, and so I was like I was becoming a burgeoning cinephile, so I was just watching everything, and it's just like he wants to he wants to possess her, right? Like, I mean, we weren't as quote unquote woke as the time, but I mean, message received. Like, he had some bad ideas about what he wanted to do with Esmeralda. But yeah, to get back to
going back to the Black Cauldron.
I watching it this time. That's the thing that struck me, is like, because we've had like years and years now of like these fantasy franchise movies. That was the first thing that occurred to me. It's like, it's overstuffed. It's, we don't like, what does the can't remember the troubadour character. I can't remember his name. Like, what is he here for? I realize he has a big part in the book.
Fing Fang Flim. He's very. It's very different in the books, but
sure.
Also his story he's very like the Black Cauldron part of the story. He's barely in the Black Cauldron part of the actual Lloyd Alexander novels.
Okay, well, that's even more interesting then. The little snarf guy, what was his name?
That is Gurgi? Gurgi is completely original to the movie.
Yeah, that's
because Gurgi, Gurgi, the character that Gurgi represents in the books is a young piece of shit kid.
He's a disgusting little shit boy, to use
yes.
The we hate movies nomenclature.
Absolutely. He is that kind of. He's that character, and in the end, like the actual whole story, the sacrificing himself in the Black Cauldron thing, that's all legitimately from the book. And that kid, and throughout the entire story of Black Cauldron, you actually do start to understand this kid's a little shit, but why he is a little shit, and he kind of grows on you. And so when he does sacrifice himself, it does actually impact you in the story. And like, if you want, I highly recommend checking out Lloyd Alexander. I know that his publisher that does all the audiobooks, there's a 1 through 3 like compilation for the audiobook that you can get. And that's, at least that's how I listen to it, how I consume them. And very, very good audiobook, very good adaptation. Very good, like, reading of it, as it were.
Okay.
And I know if Mike was here, he'd be talking about a lot of the D&D elements of it, because there's a lot of like general D&D design in this.
There's a well-known Dungeons and Dragons cartoon around the same time too. I don't know if they cross over at all.
There might have been like some in-betweeners that were a part of it, but I don't
Also
know
that
if there's any
famous
designers
game, that
mixed in.
famous video game. I can't remember what it's called, but it has like
I
whole
mean, like-
animated elements to it.
Well, yeah, that was Don Bluth, which Don Bluth
Right.
famously left mid-production of this movie.
Yes.
Because he was originally supposed to direct this, got pulled off the project, got mad, left Disney,
Mm-hmm.
and left with a bunch of animators with him.
Mm-hmm.
If you honestly, if you want to know like the full story, Yesterworld Entertainment did this very, very good short documentary. It's like just under 40 minutes about the entire history of the production of this movie. And
interesting.
it's a great watch.
Yeah.
And it's I'll put it in the show notes, obviously, of this episode, but it is really it's a really good documentary and worth your time to sit through, because the whole history of Black Cauldron is just as interesting as kind of the movie itself, because it's so out of the box for Disney to make something this dark, basically.
Yeah, there's something like really. It's one of those movies where it's like there's something interesting going on in the movie. There's something interesting going on around the movie, because it doesn't necessarily fit in any particular Disney oeuvre. It sticks out like a sore thumb. So you can see how there's like a lot of conflicting creative visions, not just like in the animation studio, but like in the production and in amongst the producers, amongst the studio execs even. How do you produce something this different and outside of what people expect from Disney? It's kind of interesting that you get this, and then next movies that go into production are like The Little Mermaid. I mean, they're not the ones that come out after this, because there's still Oliver and Company, and
I mean, Oliver and Company
Mouse
was
Detective.
I would say Great Mouse Detective. Honestly, the way Disney animation worked a lot of the time was there was an A picture and a B picture, and this was the B picture. And Great Mouse Detective was very much the A picture that they were really invested in.
You can see that, but I mean, again, that's based on Sherlock Holmes. It's
right.
We're really
it's based on Sherlock Holmes, but
material.
I think I think Oliver and Company kind of started. It's not really an official Disney Renaissance film, but it is the transitional movie to what became the Disney Renaissance.
It's a statement of like, can we still do this? Do the big musical, like adventure, kid friendly film? After coming off of especially Black Cauldron, but to an extent, The Great Mouse Detective, it's the test case for, can we still do this? And then they get into Little Mermaid, the murderer's row of Little Mermaid,
Lion
King,
the Beast,
Aladdin, Lion King, yeah.
Oh,
but the thing with the Black Cauldron is, you can see why it was interesting to like Don Bluth, Tim Burton, all the people who are involved in it, like even to like the voice, like John Hurt, Nigel Hawthorne, John Huston is the narrator in the beginning. John Huston, the authoritative voice of like almost every World War II documentary that was made during World War II. It's interesting to note like how much creative talent went into this, how much creative talent sort of spun out of it, went on different paths, and how at the end of the day, it was still so gnarly that like Jeffrey Katzenberg was like chop-socking it right up to almost the release date because it was like too scary, or in scare quotes, because like when you watch the version, the Army of the Dead like walks out of the castle and then drops dead. And I'm very curious.
And there's there is footage of what that originally was. And
is there?
Yesterworld, and that documentary I was talking about from Yesterworld shows some of that footage.
It's not like the blood.
It's unfinished. It's obviously unfinished. It's unfinished animation, but you get the idea behind it, basically.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just reading some of the description of like what they were cutting and why they were cutting it. I was just like, I kind of want to see that. Like, you got the kids at that point. I mean, maybe some of them run screaming from the theater with their moms, but on the other hand, like, maybe they're so ensconced in the world, they want to see how it turns. I mean, then the little scarf thing, Gurgi like sacrifices himself. I don't know. It seems like we're being pretty choosy about what is and isn't scary. What you think villain will not be scary to a kid, but I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it is darker. It is a darker Disney film, and it's not necessarily. I think this is very much a boy-centered story.
Yeah.
Like, I think a young boy would enjoy this mostly, unless you have, like, a tomboyish girl, in which case they probably will enjoy this. But it's a very certain type of person. A very certain type of person enjoys this movie. A lot of them grew up to be, like, very emo-ish, dark, or nerdy people like us. But, like, it's an interesting trip to sit down and watch something that isn't necessarily typical Disney.
Yeah, in so much as, like, there is typical Disney, and this falls, like, so far outside of it that it would be more surprising if it hadn't developed that cult following. I think there's a reason, there's a certain class of Disney kid who comes back to this because it's kooky, it's outside of sort of accepted norms, it's scary, it's got John Hurt as like a skeleton king, and it's action adventure. There's music in this. I talked about the Academy Award going to Sword in the Stone for score. The Elmer Bernstein score for this, I was really digging in places. It really, I found it really kind of sticks with you after it's over. So, and of course this is, Bernstein's also doing Ghostbusters around this time, and you hear the Thelman and other kind of weird instruments. So yeah, there's something about like the 84-85 period where you're just getting weirdo, like, movies that are supposed to be blockbusters but are maybe a little too weird to be blockbusters, or sometimes blockbusters in spite of their weirdness, something like Gremlins,
right,
or Ghostbusters. Sometimes,
I mean, this certainly was not successful on a $44 million budget. It made half that.
No, this is an era of like lightning in a bottle. Like something like Ghostbusters was it was a lot of money, and it went from like script to opening day in like a year, quite famously.
Yeah.
And so it's like sometimes you capture lightning in a bottle, and sometimes you just get burned. And unfortunately, Black Cauldron seemed to be a case of getting burned. But it does have this life. Clearly, as you noted, it's somebody at Disney thought well enough of it to upgrade it to 4K. And it does have this great afterlife, even in something like Kingdom Hearts, because I think the what's the name of the king? The skeleton king.
This is
the Horn King. Right. Is like a character in Kingdom Hearts. So, if the measurement of art is like how long it has a shelf life and how well regarded it is even amongst a small group of dedicated fans, hey, I wonder how many like Nightmare Before Christmas kids are also Black Cauldron kids. I wonder, or how many Nightmare Before Christmas kids might be turned on to Black Cauldron kids, depending on when and if they find it. So I think there's an audience for this because it's so weird and out there and I don't know, weird. Let's call it weird.
Yeah. And like you also have like when you can tell this is production hell because there are, if you look at the writer credits, there's like 12, 13 people.
Right. That's credited, and like sometimes not everybody gets credited.
Yeah.
It's
Exactly.
like whom has on like the balance of the work informing the script. That's another interesting detail about like connecting the Sword and the Stone and the Black Cauldron, and that's like not just that there's swords and sorcery tales, but these are both like stories based on books that come out. These like fantasy epics. T.H. White's The Once and Future King and the Lloyd Alexander Chronicles of Prydain books.
Prydain.
Is it Prydain? I apologize.
Yeah, Prydain.
I was reading it, so it must have been said like 100 times in the movie Prydain. They both come out. Disney's like, this is great material. We're going to turn these into animated movies. And then like decades later, like decades in the case of Sword in the Stone, but like maybe a decade in the case of the Black Cauldron, you finally get something. So it's interesting to note, like in both these cases, Disney sees like, this is great material, guys. And then it takes like a Herculean effort to turn it into something that ends up being released, even if it's not perfect.
Yeah. I again, this is top 25 for me in terms of features. And I mean, like, I hope eventually Sony decides, hey, why don't we dive into the vault a little bit and start releasing some 4Ks of this stuff. I mean, we just got a Lilo and like legitimately there's a Lilo and Stitch 4K transfer that just happened.
Right.
Obviously because of the new movie, they thought it would make sense to do the 4K. And I'm sure that'll eventually come to Disney Plus in the next 6 months or so.
Lilo and Stitch is also big. It's had a big afterlife.
Yeah, Lilo and Stitch is also a near and dear to my heart. Like that's top 10 for me in Disney. And it's even I'm gonna just put a little anecdote and then we'll wrap this up about Lilo and Stitch. Lilo and Stitch, I went to Disney in Orlando while they were in production on this. So I got to see some of the stills of the production the year before the movie came out. And the movie came out in the summer and they started promoting it in like December. But like in that November, I had seen stills and stuff, and then one of the animators was there during the animation tour when they had animators over in Orlando, and he actually drew Stitch for the tour, and it was really cool. It was really cool and very. It stood out. It very much stood out to me as something completely weird and interesting. And Lilo and Stitch is a movie about weird and interesting people. And I don't think the live action did it justice, but that's just me.
I mean, I haven't seen the live action one either.
It should be on Disney Plus by the end of the summer.
It would imagine. Yeah, I think it's we're waiting that eventuality. I think it must have captured enough of it, because it is one of the biggest successes of the summer of 2025. So it must have captured enough of it for at least the masses. I question whether or not we'll have the longevity of the original Lilo and Stitch, which is now kind of like a pan. I mean, one of the reasons why I think the live action was a success is because it's like a pan-generational movie. Is that people who were kids when the animated came out have been sharing it with their kids because it's been 20 years.
Yeah.
So it's complicated. Let's say that.
Yeah, it's a very complicated. And with that, I think we're gonna wrap up this loose cannon.
And very loose without Mike.
And very loose without Mike. But hey, that's the situation we're in. But hey, show must go on.
Show must go on.
So for This Week in Geek, I have been Ken Reels.
And I've been Adam A. Donaldson.
And be kind, rewind. We'll see you guys next time.
Are either one of these any good? Sir,
What?
are either one of these any good?
I don't watch movies.
Quick, change the channel.
You're wasting your life making shit! Nobody cares! These movies are terrible!
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.